So, in this case, we will be discussing about the properties of radicals. And our objectives for today is first, we want to derive the laws of radicals. And also, after that, meron tayong simplify na mga radical expressions using laws of radicals. So in this case, allow me to define the first rule for radicals. The first rule is the product rule for radicals. Sabi dito kapag ka ang A and B nagre-represents ng non-negative real numbers, then we can write it as square root of A being multiplied to square root of B. Itong A ay bawal negative numbers. Then, that is equal to square root of A and B. As you can see, parang ang ginawa natin dito, yung square root sinulat natin sa as a whole. Then, yung A and B dito, nilagay natin sa loob ng square root symbol. Okay? And they are multiplying to each other kung yan ay non-negative numbers. Now, this is the basic representation of the proof bakit ganun yung ating product rule, no? So, in this case, yung square root of A, ang ginawa ko dito is, ginawa ko siyang exponential form like A raised to 1 half. Yung square root of B, ginawa ko rin siyang exponential form, B raised to 1 half. Then, when we multiply them, we can easily write A and B as a group, and then erase natin sa same exponent na 1 half. Then, after that, after converting this exponential form to radical form, we can write it as square root of A and B. By the way, yan lang naman yung proof ng product rule. Pinakita ko lang sa inyo paano nangyaring ganito yung ating product rule. Okay? So, kapag mas malaki naman yung ating exponents, more than 1, pares lang naman din ang ating i-apply na concept. Okay? So, yung n dito, ang sinasabi dito, greater than 1 siya or mas malaki sa 1 na exponents. Okay? Or index rather, index. Okay? So, ang sabi dito kapag ka n is even, then a and b must be non-negative. So, dapat ito ay hindi negative kapag ka even numbers like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on, yung ating A and B dun, yung radicand na tinatawag. Okay? So, in this case, allow me to give you some sort of examples of the following examples sa product rule. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin dito, gagamitin natin ng product rule for radicals to each product, and we will assume that all variables represents the positive numbers. Okay? So, in this case, we have the first example, square root of A or 3 times square root of 7. So, what we can do here is first, we want to write, we want to apply the rule or the product rule for radicals. Gumawa ko dito ng mas malaking version ng radical symbol, and then ang gagawin ko dito or ang gagawin natin is yung dalawang number, yung radicand sa loob ng radical symbol is imumultiply natin sa loob. So we have 3 times 7. Okay? So when we multiply 3 and 7, we get square root of 21. Okay? If we can simplify it, then simplify. Maybe this is gonna be the final answer for this first example. Okay? So now, another example would be square root of 15 times square root of 15. So what we can do here is, once again, apply the rule. So, kaya ko ng malaking na square root dyan, and then yung number na 15 dito, ilalagay ko sa loob, imumultiply ko sa same number na 15, nagkataon lang yan. Then when we simplify square root of 15 times 15, that is 225. And then we all know that 225 is a perfect square number, and we can get the square root of 225. And 225 is 15 when we simplify it. Okay, because 15 times 15 is 225. Okay, so this is gonna be the final answer. Next is like this. Letter C is the cube root of 2. I believe cube root of 2 times cube root of 5 yun. So, ang gagawin natin dito, Ililipat ko lang muna yung ito. Let me change this one as cube root of 2 times cube root of 5. Also, yung letter D dyan ay fourth root of 3 times fourth root of 27. So, yan. Rewrite ko lang yung mga example dito. And then, cube root of 2 times cube root of 5, we can write it as, since parehas naman sila ng index, okay, yun yung rule dun eh. Pag parehas ng index, then we can write the same index as one big radical symbol. And then, yung 2 and 5 sa loob is multiply natin. 2 times 5, that is 10. Right? So, if we can simplify this, then we can simplify this. If it's not, then ito na yung final answer natin. Okay? Next, fourth root of 3 times fourth root of 27. As you can see, we have the same index. Okay? Yun yung requirement. Kapag parehas yung index, then pwede mo silang isulat as the same radical sign or symbol. Then yung 3 times 27, no, we can simplify 3 times 27, that is 81. Okay? And if there is any simplification for fourth root of 81, then you can do it. But I think fourth root of 81 is 3. Okay? Why? Because 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is equal to 81. Okay? Kaya ang fourth root ng 81 is 3. Okay? So, that is the first example or set of examples. Now, allow me to give you this challenge, the try it one, to think or to show me if you could learn something dun sa ating first set of examples. And feel free to pause this video, and I want you to write your solution in your notebook, and the teacher must check kapag ka nagkita-kita na tayo sa ating classroom. Okay? So, itong for example na to, ay i-apply nyo lang naman dyan yung product rule, and we have to assume na bawat radicand dyan ay positive numbers. Okay? So, let's begin our set of example 2. In this case, we want to simplify radicals, okay? And we will assume that no radicals are formed by raising negative quantities to even powers. Okay? So, itong gagawin natin dito, students, ay ganito lang po, no? Actually, meron mga procedure na pwede nating i-apply. You can use the procedure, of course. We can write radicand as a product ng the greatest perfect square. So, in this case, hahanap tayo ng mga perfect square factors. So, balikan lang natin ng mga factor na topic natin. Dapat yung perfect square factors ay mas malaki yung perfect square. Okay? And then, syempre, may isang factor doon na hindi perfect square. Then we can apply the product rule and then evaluate the radical with the perfect square radicand. So, paano ba yun? Paano ba natin gagawin yun? So, in this case, meron tayong square root of 75x raised to 3. Ang gagawin natin is split up lang natin yan. Split up natin yung 75x squared. So, in this case, kaya naman natin i-factor itong 75, no? As una, yung 75, pwede natin siyang i-multiply or factor as 25 times what? Times 3. Okay? So, we can write it as 25 times 3 because 25 times 3 is 75. Right? At ito, split up din natin to. Dapat yung isa, naka-raise sa 2, yung isa, kung ano yung natira. Okay? So, when we factor x raised to 3, we can have x raised to 2 times x raised to 1. Okay? Again, so paano i-check to? 25 times 3, okay, 25 times 3, that is 75, right? Next is x squared times x raised to 1 is x raised to 3. Okay? So, yun ang ginawa dito. Bakit nagkaroon ng ganyang factor? Okay? So, ayan. Ito, multiplication yan. And then, when we do that, ang gagawin natin, we will be splitting these two things up sa dalawa. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, paghihiwalayin natin yan ng radical sign or ng bahay. So, itong 25x squared sa loob ng radical sign, paghiwalayin natin, gawin natin itong dito yung natin nalalagay, 25 or square root of 25x squared. Also, itong part na to, ihiwalay din natin ng bahay. Maglalagay lang ako ng sign dito or product sign dito. Then, we can write it as 3. Okay, 3x raised to 1. Okay? Again, check it lang natin ulit, no? 25 times 3, that is 75. X squared times x, that is x raised to 3. Yan yung dahilan bakit natin na-split yan. Okay? So, when we do this, we can write or we can get the square root of 25. Square root of 25 first, that is, I believe, 5, right? So, that is 5. Okay? And then, square root of x squared or square root of x squared, lagay lang tayo dito ng scratch, no? Square root of x squared, that is going to be cancelled out because we can write it as x raised to 2, tapos naka-raise pa sa 1 half. Alam natin na kapag sinimplify natin yan, ang matitira lang is yung x from the previous discussion that we had. Okay? So ang natira dito is x. Okay? Now, natapos na tayo dito. Actually, parang nawala dito yung radical sign, no? Nawala yung radical sign. Kasi kinuha natin square root of 25, that is 5. Square root of x squared, that is x. Okay? Then, after that, ito naman yung square root of 3x ang simplify natin. Ang tanong, meron pa pwedeng i-simplify sa square root of 3x? I think wala, no? So, ibig sabihin, ang matitira dito is 3x sa kabilang side. By the way, when we simplify this particular expression, then, ito na yung pinaka-final answer natin. Okay, 5x square root of 3x. Again, yun gagawin natin kapag ganito yung naging problem natin. Now, number 2, or letter B, square root of 45 is a raised to 3b squared. So, paano ito sinusolve? Paano ito sinisimplify as each radical? Look for the greatest perfect square that divides 45 a raised to 3, b raised to 2. Okay? So, alamin natin, ano na ba yung mga perfect square na yon? I think 9 is the greatest perfect square that divides 45, right? So, we can write it as like this one, no? Gawa tayo ng mas malaking version ng radical sign dito. I think pwede si 9 times, yung number muna, no? Ano yung mga perfect factor ni 45? 9 and 5, no? 9 and 5. Ayun yung pinakamalaki, no? And si 9, perfect square number yon. Okay? So, sulat ko lang muna si 9 dito. Sulat ko si 5 dito. Okay? Next is, gawin naman natin tong, i-factor naman natin si a raised to 3. So, ano na naman factor ni a raised to 3 na may perfect square? So, wait, lagyan ko lang dito na para mas ma-imagine ninyo paano ko ginagawa yon. So, a raised to 3, ano yung may factor na may square, no? Siyempre, alam natin na factor niyan is a. Pag pinag-split up natin yan, dapat may square, dapat may, siyempre, kung ano natira, yun na yung ilalagay natin dito. Because a raised to 2 times a raised to 1 is equal to a raised to 3. Nagkataon na may mas malaking perfect square. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung dalawang factor. Dito ko ilalagay yung isa, a raised to 2. Dito ko ilalagay yung isa, a raised to 1. Okay? So, I hope you get it. Next is, try naman natin i-factor out si b or b raised to 2. So, when we factor out the b raised to 2, alam naman natin si b raised to 2, perfect square na yun, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, dito ko na siya ilalagay sa unang side. Okay? So, as you can see and as you observe, students, itong part na to, lahat perfect square. Okay? Lahat perfect square. However, kung ano yung natira, yung latak ng lipunan, dito natin lalagay. Okay? So, now, when we simplify it, pwede natin ito paghiwalayin ng bahay dahil ito kasi, kumbaga perfect silang family, no? So, 9a raised to 2, b squared, ito yung black sheep ng family. Ito naman yung black sheep ng 5. So, 5a raised to 1. Okay? So, when we simplify it, alam natin, isa-isahin natin, no? Square root muna ng 9. Ano bang square root ng 9? Alam natin yung square root of 9, that is going to be 3. That's right? So, square root naman ng a squared. Okay? Square root of a squared. Alam natin na matitira dyan is a. Right? So, a ang matitira dyan. What about square root of b squared? Same. B na lang yung matitira dyan. So, natanggal na yung square, di ba? Kasi nasa loob siya ng perfect square. Radical na square. O square root. Okay? So, tignan natin tong latak ng lipunan. Joke lang. So, square root of 5a, that is square root of 5a. Wala na tayong dapat baguhin pa dyan. Okay? And this is gonna be the final answer for this particular example na letter B. Okay, so as we continue, by the way, take time. Take time to digest this particular example, and then you may go back, no? If you want, if there are things na medyo narito kayo, you may go back sa umpisa at ulitin niyo kung paano yung process, no? Then sabayan niyo na rin ng solution ninyo para mas maintindihan niyo ito ng mas maayos. Okay, letter C. Same concern pa rin ang gagawin natin, or same process pa rin gagawin natin. Maybe we could find out, ang pinagkaiba, meron dito mga extra number. So, yung extra number na yan, since extra lang yan, ilalagay natin yan dito muna sa baba. Yung mga extra. Okay? Ang asikasuhin natin ngayon, yung nasa loob ng radical sign, which is 72x raised to 5. Again, ang process, find the greatest perfect square factor ng 72x raised to 5. So, ano ba yung greatest perfect square nitong 72 muna? Okay? When you multiply when you get the factor of 72, we can write 36 times 2. Di ba? 36 times 2 is 72, tama? O 36 is a perfect square. So, ibig sabihin, we can write 36 here times 2 here. Okay? Then, finally, we get the perfect square factor naman nitong x raised to 5. Okay? So, wait. Burahin ko lang to. Factor natin ng konti sa x raised to 5. So, when we split them up, dapat kasi, pag finactor natin, may perfect square number. Pwede ba si 2? Anong pwede natin multiply sa 2 para maging, ilagay dito para maging 5? Dapat i-add natin 3. Pwede ba yon? Okay, may perfect square ba dyan? Walang perfect square number dyan. Okay, ang next na number dyan is 4. 4 times 1. Itong 4 na to is a perfect square number. Okay, so ibig sabihin, ito yung gagamitin natin dito. So, dito ko ilalagay si x. Okay, so x raised to 4 times x. Okay, again, 36 times 2, that is 72. 36 is a perfect square. X raised to 4 times x, that is x raised to 5. X raised to 4 is a perfect square as well. Okay? So, using the product rule of of radicals, we can write 2x muna dito. Pinaba ko lang yan. And then, 36 x raised to 4. Paghihiwalay ko na sila ng bahay. Yung isang bahay ay perfect square number times square root of 2x. Yung mga pagkakataon na hindi na natin sinusulat to, kasi automatic kapag magkatabi yan, they are multiplying to each other. Okay? Ayan na. We simplify 2x muna. Baba muna natin ng 2x ulit. Square root of 36, we all know that is 6. Right? Square root of 36, that is 6. Now, square root of x raised to 4. So, how do you multiply? How do you get the square root of x raised to 4? So, gawa tayo scratch dito. Square root of x raised to 4. Okay? We all know na ang ginagawa natin dyan, pwede natin gawin na ganito. Gawin natin yung exponential form, x raised to 4 over 2. Right? So, we can simplify 4 divided by 2 as 4 divided by 2, that is 2. So, ibig sabihin, yung square root of x raised to 4, that is x raised to 2. Pero may madaling paraan para ma-solve natin yan. So, ang madaling paraan na ituturo ko sa inyo, alam kasi natin dito na may imaginary 2, di ba? So, ang gawin mo lang dito, i-copy mo yung x, then divide mo lang 4 sa 2. 4 divided by 2, that is 2. Okay? So, ganun ang ginagawang paraan doon. Okay? Pero kung hindi kayo komportable, gamitin ninyo yung mga previous rule na natutunan ninyo. Uy, nabura. So, okay. So, ngayon, ito, hindi siya perfect square, then we can write it as here, as square root of 2x. We have to simplify this one. We have to multiply 2x kay 6x raised to 2. When you multiply first the number, 2 times 6, that is 12. X times x raised to 2, that is x raised to 3. And yung 2x na yan, or square root of 2x, kukopihin ko lang dito sa katabi lang. Okay? And this is gonna be the final answer for this particular example. Okay?